This is your segment, Matthew. These are your bold predictions, 10 of them for the season. I'm just going to let you wear the chef's hat and cook here. The first one, Kirk Cousins leads the NFL in touchdown passes.
Now, again, we should preface that bold predictions are predictions that are unlikely to happen. That's what makes them bold, but they're within the range of possibility. That's what makes them predictions here. And listen, Kirk Cousins is one of only 6 quarterbacks to have at least 30 touchdown passes each of the last 2 seasons, okay? And he did it, you know, and the other guys, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, like all big, bold-faced names. Then you got Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins did that under an offense that last year was bottom 14 in pass rate. Now, again, Kevin O'Connell, who comes from L.A., where Matthew Stafford threw 41 touchdown passes last year, my expectation here is, yes, I think there's a chance everything breaks right. He's got a lot of talented pass catchers. They're going to open up this offense. That's my bold prediction, that Kirk Cousins leads the NFL in touchdown passes this year.
Plus 1,600. Don't mind that, like we've talked about. It's going to be so sad when the Vikings go 6-11 and it all burns. So
right.
we're going to look really bad. Another Vikings prediction. Justin Jefferson has the best fantasy season of a wide receiver ever.
Yeah, I mean, look, 30% target share last year. 10 targets a game. Like, no one questions the talent. No one questions the fact that he's going to get a lot of looks. This is he's had the most yards by a wide receiver in his first 2 seasons in NFL history. So he's really, really good. And so if this offense takes another step up, if this offense, takes that next level, think about Cooper Kupp last year. Massive target share, great quarterback, pass-happy offense. What do we have here? Massive target share, pass-happy offense. And the other thing about Kupp, whether it was Woods or OBJ or Van Jefferson, they had enough that defenses couldn't just focus on Kupp. And I think with Dillon and KJ Osborne and Irv Smith and Dalvin Cook out of the backfield, they're not going to be able to constantly double and triple team Justin Jefferson, who can move all over the field. They'll line up in a bunch of different positions. So, yeah, Justin Jefferson, who's currently going as wide receiver 2, but I've seen other people take him as wide receiver 1, which I don't mind at all. That's my bold prediction. Justin Jefferson, the best fantasy season by a wide receiver of all time.
I think when you're looking to go with unprecedented things, you need unprecedented players to get there. And Jefferson's only parallel is Randy Moss, who's pretty good. So I'm with you on that. And then also it's the perfect parallel where you have Kevin O'Connell as well, who literally just activated Cooper Kupp's historic season. Now goes to Minnesota to do the same thing with Justin Jefferson. Talk of using him in a similar way to Kupp. So all the upside in the world for Justin Jefferson. Another high upside wide receiver is Chris Godwin, who is currently being drafted outside the top 30. And you think that he finishes as a top 5 wide receiver in total points.
Okay, so last year on a points per game basis is wide receiver 7. So maybe not that bold. The question becomes the health. Well, he practiced on Monday without a knee brace. Prior to injury, weeks 1 through 15 last year, he was wide receiver 8 in terms of points per game. Again, prior to the injury, they led the league in pass attempts last year as well. And so, whether depending on your scoring system, he was either wide receiver 7 or wide receiver 8 last year on a points per game basis. The fact of the matter is narrower target tree in Tampa Bay. Yes, they add Julio and Russell Gage, but they lost Antonio Brown. They lost Rob Gronkowski. Who knows how many snaps they want Julio Jones to play. Gage is a nice player, but Chris Godwin's special. And so the only question on Godwin is health. On a points per game basis, we know he's going to be productive. Bold prediction, I'm saying top 5 wide receiver in total points because I think there's a chance he gets some snaps in week 1. And so that's the reason he was going so far outside the top 30 is that because people are like, he's going to miss 4, 5, 6 games. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
I think, would you agree that he's got the most inexplicable ADP of any player? Yeah, because I think people are starting to cotton on to that, though. He's starting to go very early in drafts. He's the guy, everyone wants him and then thinks that they can wait a little bit to get him, and then he's just gone because everyone knows. Tom Brady's the second favorite to lead the league in passing yards. A lot of those yards will naturally go to Godwin. He'll probably have to come home like a steam train to finish top 5 because he probably will start off a little bit slower.
Yes.
But I think he has that potential. Now, Gabriel Davis. I know you were a bit late to the party on Gabriel Davis. You didn't like him too much early, but he outscores Stephon Diggs in fantasy points.
That's what that is. That's cruel. Yeah, so Gabe Davis outscored Stephon Diggs in fantasy points again. This is a bold prediction segment, but remember, last year, Gabriel Davis, 98th in targets, among wide receivers. He had 11 different games where he ran less than 20 routes. Like, he just wasn't on the field, and yet despite the fact that he really wasn't on the field very much, he still finished top 5 in the NFL among wide receivers in end zone targets. What do fantasy points come from mostly? Touchdowns. And as we talked about, it's like over 30-1 that Gabriel Davis to lead the league in touchdowns. I think there's a chance because now he's going to be out there pretty much every snap. When they get in close, he's a big physical guy. When they get in close, Josh Allen likes to look for him. Again, top 5 in the NFL in end zone targets, which given his lack of usage last year is unbelievable that he got that. Like, basically, whenever it was on the field, like, Josh Allen looked for him. So I could see a scenario where Stephon Diggs, who last year got a lot of end zone targets as well and just didn't come down with him, Gabe Davis gets, 15 touchdowns or something like that, something insane, because we expect Josh Allen to have a big year. It is a narrow target tree there. I mean, they've got Diggs, they've got Dawson Knox, they've got Isaiah McKenzie, but Gabriel Davis very likely leads this team in end zone targets. If he connects on, gets a little bit of lucky, yeah, Gabe Davis outscores Stephon Diggs in fantasy points, even though I think Diggs has a monster year too.
Yeah, I like this one because touchdown production is so random.
Yes.
And you're taking the underdog, and so you're getting that upside without paying for it as much. Could totally see Gabriel Davis outpacing Diggs in touchdowns to a way that offsets the likely difference in receiving yards. Okay, Deandre Swift, who's become a pretty trendy player, but this goes beyond trendy. This is extremely bold. You think that he may finish as the number 1 running back in fantasy?
Yeah, again, bold prediction time, but this guy was a top 8 running back on a points per game basis prior to his injury in Week 13, averaged almost 5 receptions a game. He's targeted over 6 times in 7 different games last year. He's a big part of the passing game. So one of the things what you need to do to become the number 1 running back in fantasy, you need true 3-down usage, right? You need to be on the field, so he's got that. You need touchdown equity. So we'll see. That's fluky, right? But you also, I think it helps, just like Jonathan Taylor had last year, to have a great offensive line. And for the challenges that the Lions have, sneakily, they actually have one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. And you think about whether you've been watching Hard Knocks, or you go to the press conferences, Dan Campbell is a, old school football guy, right? He is a smash mouth guy. We're going to bite their kneecaps and all that, right? So I could see DeAndre Swift, who no one questions the talent. DeAndre Swift having just a monster year here by a good offensive line with the amount of touches he's going to get on what I think will be a better offense than people think in Detroit.
Yeah, I should set an over-under on bitten kneecaps in Detroit.
Right.
Yeah, 2.5. I think with Swift, the element there too is that they had 3 wins last year. This year, their win total is 6.5, pushing towards 7, so there should be more favorable game scripts for him to go to work. Another team that's going to have a lot of
what's great about him is it doesn't matter, because even when they were trailing last year, again, he's the pass-catching running back. He's out there, a lot of junk time scoring. Again, it's bold, but I don't think it's crazy.
Yep. Should be more goal line opportunities as well for a team that should just be better. And like you said, they do sneakily have a very good offensive line. Okay, another team that should have a good offensive line if Dave Bakhtiari is there and everyone's healthy, the Green Bay Packers. And your next bold prediction, number 6, is that both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon finish as top 10 fantasy running backs.
So this is predicated on the idea, obviously, that with Davante Adams now in Las Vegas, they're going to be more balanced, and they want to use both guys. Matt LaFleur calling both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon 1A and 1A. They're, quote, they're 2 of the premier backs in our league, in my opinion. They can do anything. Again, you go back to the 7 games in the Matt LaFleur era in which Aaron Rodgers played and Davante Adams did not. And in those 7 games, Aaron Jones got a 19.8% target share, basically a 20% target share, averaged 20 touches a game, averaged 25.7 fantasy points per game, like just massive usage. And now you think about A.J. Dillon, he had 8 different games last year where he got 15 or more touches, averaged 14.8 fantasy points per game. You add a few more touchdowns to that, and all of a sudden you're looking at both guys as top 10 fantasy running backs because, again, I think they'll be in scoring position often. I think Aaron Jones will take a lot more of the target share left by Adams than people are realizing. Jones will be the hammer between the tackles. They like both guys around the goal line, more balanced offense. We think it's going to be a good offense this year, and it's a good defense. So they get some turnovers. They're in enemy territory more often. I like both guys quite a bit, and I love Dillon at his ADP.
Yep. The other thing here, and I've mentioned this before, but Green Bay are favored in 15 of their 17 games, which means that they're going to have extremely favorable game scripts. And the guys, as much as Romeo Dobbs and Sammy Watkins, because everyone's looking to them to replace Devontae Adams' production, the two running backs as well are going to siphon into that. Now, number 7, which is surely your favorite one, Jalen Hurts finishes as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. I hear you like Jalen Hurts.
Well, he's my fantasy ride or die, so it makes sense that I would make that bold prediction because, as I said, one of the reasons he is my ride or die is that number 1 quarterback in fantasy is within the range of outcomes. I just keep going back to the Josh Allen comparison. I'm not saying he's got Josh Allen's arm, but the situations are very similar. Athletic quarterbacks that were criticized for their accuracy early in their careers, but we knew about the rushing. Second year of Josh Allen, you compare it to the second year of Jalen Hurts that we just came out of. Jalen Hurts, more rushing yards, more passing yards, higher accuracy, the same amount of interceptions, same amount of touchdowns per game. Josh Allen had 2 full seasons after the second year. After Jalen Hurts' second year, he only had the 4 games his rookie year. So Josh Allen actually had more experience under the same offense, and yet in his second season in the NFL, Hurts was still better than Josh Allen was. Going into year 3, Bills give Josh Allen Stephon Diggs. He finishes that year as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. This year, they give him A.J. Brown. Really good offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles, really good schedule. We know about the rushing ability. The accuracy, I think, has improved so far what we've seen in the preseason. I think it will improve a lot more than people give him credit for. They forget that Jalen Hurts was throwing downfield a lot, which also hurts your accuracy. So, yeah, I'm in on Jalen Hurts. That's my bold prediction. Number 1 quarterback in fantasy.
All in Hurts. He's 30-1 to win MVP, which I don't mind. The Eagles are now the favorite to win the NFC East. They were plus 300 at the start of the offseason. Now they're plus 135. They've leapt the Cowboys.
I cannot tell you how many drafts I got. And the problem with having a ride or die,
people know.
They know. And so everyone snipes me. I wanted him like in every league, and I got him only in a handful. Alexa. Show league that we do here for Fantasy Football Happy Hour, my producer, Alexa, like a producer's job is to support their talent, make their talent feel good. Alexa just did the opposite. Alexa did the fantasy football equivalent of give me the middle finger.
It was savage. It was savage. I loved it.
The pick before.
Magnificent.
The pick before. Lamar Jackson was still there. Like there were other really good quarterbacks she could have had. And Alexa's like, you know what I want to do to my talent? Adjust to this, MFer. Thanks, Alexa.
Phenomenal. Okay, another one of you guys in your stable, Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
He outscores Cooper Kupp.
Right. Again, this goes to touchdown equity. I believe that every single defensive coordinator that has the Rams on their schedule this year studied a bunch of film of LA and said, all right, how do we stop Cooper Kupp? Because last year, they're like, oh, yeah, very good slot wide receiver. But they didn't scheme to stop him, I think, the way they were going to. Allen Robinson is somebody that has been a top 12 fantasy wide receiver. He's been a top 10 wide receiver. He has that on his resume. Last year, Robert Woods, who doesn't have nearly the touchdown equity of an Allen Robinson. Robert Woods was a top 16 wide receiver on a points per game basis. Rams number 1 in wide receiver target share. Again, Allen Robinson is somebody that has had games, in years where he scored a lot of touchdowns. Big, tall guy that can win 50-50 balls. No OBJ. At least who knows when Beckham comes back. So again, I think if the touchdowns skew towards Allen Robinson, I think both have big years, but with the randomness of touchdowns, that's a bold prediction. Allen Robinson over Cooper Kupp.
I like this one because when you're taking an underdog, you want the variance, you want the high ceiling, high floor. You get that with the touchdowns, and then you also get it with Allen Robinson coming into the unknown, playing with the best quarterback by far of his entire career, which also creates that upside too.
We've talked a lot this offseason about the never underestimating the importance of getting a quarterback upgrade.
Cooper Kupp last year.
Right, from Goff to Stafford. Think about McLaurin this year, going from Taylor Heineke to Carson Wentz. That is an upgrade for him. So there's a number of situations. Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy going from, the situation last year in Denver to Russell Wilson. On and on and on.
100%. Okay, Derrick Henry catches 40 passes. His career high is 19.
Yes, but last year, before the injury, he was on pace for 37 total receptions.
Okay.
So this is actually, I don't think this is that bold a prediction, but it sneakily is, I got it in there.
You snuck it in.
Yeah, look, this is somebody who averaged almost 3 targets a game last year through the first 8 games. Treylon Burks has had a struggle this preseason. Robert Woods, 30 years old, coming off the ACL. They're going to have to find ways to manufacture offense there. They signed Austin Hooper, who's a nice pass-catching tight end. But I do think that their best offensive weapon is Derrick Henry. And do I think he suddenly becomes Marshall Faulk or DeAndre Swift or Christian McCaffrey? I don't. But again, last year he was on pace for almost 40. So bold prediction, I think he goes north of 40 receptions for the year. He obviously needs to stay healthy, but I think he can get there.
I think so. I think this is a necessity is the mother of invention type thing, where they have to diversify their offense. They can't just run him into loaded boxes. Even before he got hurt, that was starting to not work against games against Kansas City, against the Colts, leading up to his injury. He just wasn't getting the efficiency. They don't have the receivers really, so they're going to have to involve him in the passing game. Now, Cole Kmet, who I feel like we've talked about a lot and will continue to, another guy in your stable. He's currently being drafted at tight end 15, and you think you're making a bold prediction that he finishes top 5 at the position.
Cole Kmet had 91 targets last year. That was top 9 among tight ends. 91 targets on an offense that was broken. On an offense that was broken and a quarterback that didn't know what he was doing because the coaching staff just hadn't put him in a position to succeed, and yet he still got 91 targets. He had 0 touchdowns on those 91 targets. He's one of only 2 players that had 90 or more targets and 0 touchdowns, yet he was tied for the 5th highest red zone target share among tight ends. Just incredibly bad luck, and as we talked about throughout this segment, variance, right? I expect this offense to be better. I expect Justin Fields to be better. By the way, Allen Robinson no longer there. After Darnell Mooney, there's not a lot of target share that you're concerned about in terms of Cole Kmet's going to be a big part of this offense. We heard Jason Garrett. Coach Garrett came on the happy hour last week. He went to Bears camp. Eberflus and a lot of those guys on the Bears staff are former guys that worked with Garrett on his staffs. And so he said point blank on this show, Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet are going to be a big part of what they do on that passing offense. So, yeah, again, he gets the touchdowns. He gets the 6 touchdowns last year that went to the other tight ends. He gets that. He's right there. He's got a shot, and I think he's got a shot at 8 touchdowns this year.
Talking about upside, Justin Fields has as much upside as anyone. Justin Fields might just be awesome. He's certainly got that skill set, and that awesomeness, that upside has to go somewhere on the field. And it's Mooney and it's Cole Kmet. And then after that, you really have to start reaching. So I think that, there's twofold where Kmet has his own upside, and then that gets amplified by Fields. We did it. We got through all 10. We didn't
all
get
10 bold predictions. By the way, bold prediction by our producers was that we wouldn't.
Exactly.
So, boom, in your face, producers.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.